Today I'm gonna show you guys our top 4 hot springs in California. Now make sure you stay till the end of the video, because at the end of the video I'm gonna show you guys our newly found favorite hot spring. But let's just get straight into it. The first one up is Deep Creek Hot Springs. Now guys, Deep Creek Hot Springs is definitely one of my favorite places ever to go to. Now Deep Creek Hot Springs has a creek, it has hot springs, it has naked people, it has cliff jumps, anything you want, you name it, it has it. It has even a slack line too. Now you guys can camp by the hot spring, just keep in mind, make sure you pick up your trash. Now there's 3 ways to get to Deep Creek Hot Springs. There's Bradford Trail, there's Deep Creek Campground, and there's also Bowen Ranch. We usually stay at Deep Creek Campground, we park our car there, and then we hike all the way in. I believe it's a 1.7 mile hike all the way back to Deep Creek Hot Springs. Now this is one of my favorite places to go to just because the creek and the hot springs. It's a nice mix. Like during the summer, you're gonna hang out in creek. During the winter, you're gonna hang out in the hot spring. Now during the fall and spring, you're probably gonna do a little bit of both. Now this place has some of the coolest people I've ever met. Most of my hiking friends or outdoors friends I met from Deep Creek Hot Springs. You meet like a certain type of people here, and a lot of the people here are really nice, really friendly, like to make friends. You know how it is. Now guys, keep in mind, wear some nice shoes, make sure you pick up your trash, bring lots of water, because this hike, I've seen people dehydrate on the hike just because there's no shade on the hike at all. Now keep in mind, there's plenty of hot springs here, and there's plenty of room in the creek, so this place, you know, it might get packed during the summer, but you're always gonna find some room to hang out in. Now this place has cliff jumps, this place has a slack line, this place has a rope, this place has goats. I've seen everything in Deep Creek Hot Springs, guys. This is why this is one of my favorite places to ever go to. Stay tuned to the end of the video, because at the end of the video I'm gonna show you guys a place even better than Deep Creek Hot Springs. Next one up, guys, is Wild Willy Hot Springs. Now this one's located in Mammoth, California, and this, honestly guys, this place probably has one of the prettiest views I've ever seen. Pretty much the hot springs are in this field, and around the field there's mountains with snow on them. Honestly, just seeing how far these mountains are, it just makes this really pretty view. Sometimes you see cows there. It's a nice place. Now keep in mind, guys, this is Mammoth, California, so there are times where it's gonna be really cold. I've actually seen people going during the winter when there's snow, and it looks kind of cool because there's snow around the hot springs and it makes it look like it's like a nice hot tub. Now this place is a lot smaller than the last hot springs I just showed you guys, but nonetheless it's still a really cool place to go to. Now depending on when you go, it's gonna be a lot more packed than other times. When we went, it actually wasn't too bad, so there was room in the hot springs, but I've actually heard a lot of people complain because there's a lot of people that go to these. But honestly, this is one of my new family favorites. It's just a nice place. It's easy to get to. The hike is pretty much nothing, and the hot springs are nice, man. You meet a lot of cool people here, and it's awesome because like if you're snowboarding, or not even snowboarding, but if you're doing a hike out in Mammoth and it's kind of cold out and you want some hot tub kind of feel, you just go to the hot spring. And one thing I know about Mammoth is this is just one hot spring in Mammoth. It's called Wild Willy Hot Springs, and I think there's like 3 different hot springs right next to each other. But Mammoth actually has a ton of hot springs. So if you just type in hot springs in Mammoth, you're gonna get a bunch of them. Now, Wild Willy Hot Springs are packed. Just type in on Google hot springs and Mammoth, and you're gonna find plenty other ones to go to. Next one we have, guys, is Santa Barbara Hot Springs, also known as Hot Springs Canyon Trailhead. Now this place is a really cool place, and it probably has the bluest water I've ever seen. Now on your way to the hot springs, you're gonna see a beautiful view of the ocean, so it's nice to look at. Now once you get to the hot springs, guys, yes, these hot springs are super compacted, and yes, it can get really crowded, but trust me guys, if you go at the right time, it's a nice spot. I've been there in the morning one time, and it was the most peaceful thing I've ever been to. And also, if you go during the week, it's also less empty. Now keep in mind, there's a college right by here, so a lot of college kids at this place, but nonetheless, it's still a really cool place to go to. At these hot springs, the top hot spring is the hottest and the bottom is the coldest. Now, if you want to get like some warm water, you go in the middle. Now, I don't believe you can camp anywhere close to here. I'm not really sure. I've never tried to camp here. Now this place I really love because it's hidden in the trees. It's a nice little spot. You get a nice view of the ocean. You know, let's say you're at the ocean one day, you want to heat up a little bit, you hit up the hot springs right there. Now to get to these hot springs, it's actually a bit of a hike though. It's honestly all incline, so keep that in mind. I've seen dogs go up to this trail, so I mean it's dog friendly apparently. But I just wanted you guys to bring some water, bring some good shoes, because it is a hike to these hot springs. Imagine you guys are climbing up a hill, the hot springs are on a hill, you know, you get the point. Now guys, if you guys go to these hot springs, make sure you pick up your trash. Honestly, pick up your trash everywhere. Like, don't ever leave trash anywhere. But yeah, definitely recommend these hot springs. They're a really cool vibe. It's a lot of cool people. Now here comes the last hot spring, which is my favorite. Now stay tuned and watch the end of the video, and make sure you guys like and subscribe for more of these videos. Last but definitely not least is Remington Hot Spring. Now these hot springs are my favorite. Now the hike to Remington Hot Spring is literally like a quarter mile. It's nothing at all, and that's why I love this hike so much, because you literally park on the side of the road and you hike like a quarter mile and then you hit the hot springs. Now these hot springs have Kern River going right through it. So you have Kern River and you have the hot springs right next to the river. And this is why I love it, because if you go during the summer, you can hop in the river. If you go during the winter, you could hop in the hot spring, or vice versa, you know? During the spring and fall, you do both. It's a nice place. Why I love Kern River Hot Spring or Remington Hot Spring is because you can camp by here. So you can camp by the parking lot, or you can go down the river and find like a nice little spot for you and your friends, camp it out, hop in the river, and you can just hike a little bit up and you hit the hot springs. Now the reason why this is my favorite place right now is because the hike is short. It's great during the winter, it's great during the summer. You meet a lot of nice people. There's one time I came here, there was a drum circle. The camping here is really cool. And honestly, it's close by my house, so I might be a little biased. There's actually more hot springs by Remington Hot Springs, and they're called Miracle Hot Springs. I've been there one time, and it was cool. It was just really crowded when I went, so I'd probably have to go on a different day. But keep in mind, guys, like all these hot springs are gonna be crowded depending on when you go. So just, you know, during the weekdays, usually the best time to go, or, you know, during, let's say, when you go early in the morning, or maybe even at night. But you know, if you go on a Saturday, Sunday during the day, of course all these hot springs are going to be packed. Like I said, on every hot spring, make sure you bring out your trash. If you can, bring a bag and pick out trash that you'd even leave there. I know it sucks, but we're trying to keep these places clean. This place is awesome because I found some cliff jumps into the river. You got hot springs, but guys, be careful. Kern River is known for deaths, so just keep that in mind. If the river's moving fast where you're at, please do not go in the river. Right here by the hot springs, the river's not that bad, so it's a nice spot to swim in. But I just want you guys to keep in mind that rivers can be dangerous, so just keep that in mind, please, please. Now guys, please take care of these places. If you guys go, pick up your trash. Now if you guys ever want to hike with us, just DM us on Instagram, we'll DM you back. But guys, it's just Trees and Mind on Instagram. Follow us, hit us with a like, and yeah, we'll see you guys on the next video.